Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to go over the main rotor blade on an EC135, the PU foils. That's the long strip of rubber that just protects the leading edge of the blades. And that's the top layer of it, okay? I've seen a lot of times this is not put on right or whatever. The references in the maintenance manual aren't 100% accurate. There's a service bulletin that we need to go over and the IPC and stuff like that. So let's just get started, all right? All right, guys, I just want to let you know that I revised this video. I put it out like 2 days ago, but I had to make some changes. I got a heads up from one of the guys in the community. I think he's in Europe somewhere, maybe Germany. I'll let you know, though. So I just had to make a few little changes, nothing major, but kind of want to stick to the maintenance manual. I don't want to lead you guys astray, and I'm not too proud to admit that I'm wrong. I was wrong on my first video, so I made some changes now. All right, we're going to start with the Aircraft Maintenance Manual, AMM 6211008-5. If you go here, you're in the wrong place. It says replacement of PU erosion protection. That's the big rubber piece underneath the PU foils. The PU foils is what we're talking about today. So if you go here and you try to do the job according to this, you're not doing it correctly. And if you use the maintenance manual reference in your logbook sign off, this is the wrong one, okay? Yeah, if you look at the bottom under your consumable materials, it says one of them is dishwashing liquid. You're in the wrong place. So the right place, at least part of the way, is AMM 6211008-4. This is replacement of the PU erosion protective film. The film is what we're talking about today. But this AMM reference is only for the inboard PU film, the long one, the original long one. Originally, it was this long piece, and then there was only two smaller PU foils, or PU films, only went over where the underside protection overlapped. So they didn't want air to get in there and get it all messed up. Anyway, there used to be only like a 2-inch piece and a 4-inch piece, and then this original inboard long piece. So if you're changing the inboard long PU foil or film, you could use this as a reference. I wouldn't. Well, I guess you can. But if you scroll down to the bottom, it says, caution, when the helicopter is operated, the PU erosion protective film can separate if the edges are not bonded. This can damage the helicopter. Honestly, you're not going to put, well, anyway, continue to the next step. Smoothen the edges of the PU erosion protective film with adhesive CM6234, which is DP190. It says mix the adhesive according to the manufacturer's instructions. While doing so, ensure that the same amount of adhesive is used for all 4 blades. Well, that sounds like a lot of work. Anyway, you're not going to put DP190 all around the circumference of these PU foils. It's not, it would be very bad, okay? It's so much weight, and if you do it like I've seen a lot of times, it's all jacked up, all right? So we're going to go over how to do that really. Okay, we're going to go over the service bulletin in a little bit, but first we're going to go to the IPC, so we'll make sure we order the correct parts. And the PU films or PU foils are in a couple places. If you go to the Illustrated Parts Catalog, the IPC, under Rotor Blade Assembly, it's 6211-1001A. That's the serial numbers that I mainly deal with. The inboard original PU film is part number Lima 621 Mike 1010-259. And right there it says PU foil. Okay, that's number 10 on this IPC drawing. The other two, which is number 20 and 40, they end in 257 and 258. Those are not the ones you're going to order. Those are the inboard protective, it says right here, PU erosion protection inside and outside. They don't mean inside and outside. They mean inboard and outboard. So don't look at that and get confused thinking that that's what you're going to order and put that on the outside of the erosion protection strips and pretend that this is the foil or the film. It's not. This is the underside piece. So don't order this unless that's what you need to order. Then you would do the original AMM reference that we talked about originally. But if you're still in the IPC, but you scroll down a little bit to a different IPC page, this is Rotor Blades Improved Erosion Protection, and it's IPC 6211-0201. And this pretty much shows exactly the same part numbers that we just talked about. Okay, the original inboard PU film or foil, and then the other two erosion protections that go underneath. It's the same part numbers. I don't know why it's in a different IPC. Okay, so if we scroll down to a different IPC, 6211-0203, this says Rotor Blades Additional Protective Foils. Okay, this is They've incorporated the service bulletin that came out in 2010, and they finally put the part numbers of the new protective films into the IPCs, the maintenance manual. Okay, the part number is the same part number as the other ones. It just ends in 262, so it's it's Lima 621 Mike 1010 262, and they're the same. And honestly, you can get a roll. Well, we'll go over that later. All right, now we're going to go over the service bulletin. This is how you would pretty much sign off doing this job. So it came out in 2010. It was revised in 2013. That was a minute ago. The reason, if you scroll down to the reason for this SB service bulletin, it's service bulletin EC135 62-023. Print this out and put it in your parts cabinet with your PU foils. All right, because this is how you're going to sign the job off. Anyway, the reason that they came out with the service bulletin says, in order to avoid a labor-consuming replacement of the inner and outer, they mean inboard and outboard, PU protection. Eurocopter offers a retrofit of the additional PU protective foils that can be easily replaced as necessary, if necessary. Okay, cool. Another important note here, if you keep scrolling down, oh, where'd it go? All right, paragraph M, 1M, it says interchangeability of parts. It says each of the 4 blades operated on a helicopter must have the same PU protective foil configuration. It is not allowed to combine modified and not modified main rotor blades. Okay, so look, if you did this SB to one blade, you got to do it to all blades. If you ordered a new blade or a replacement blade and it doesn't have these PU foils on it, but your other 3 blades do, then you're going to have to do that job. No big deal. Oh, and if you're going to do this job, you have to take off the old PU foils, the old PU films, the little ones I was telling you about that are 2 inches and 4 inches. In the middle, it's about 2 inches, and at the outboard end, about 4 inches long. You're not going to put it on top of those. You're going to peel those off. But we're going to go over the service bulletin pretty much line by line, because this is how you're going to be changing those PU foils. All right, we're going to say the part number one more time. It's Lima 621 Mike 1010262. It's called PU protective foil, and the dimensions are 750 millimeters by 120 millimeters. The width is 120 millimeters. You can order a roll of this tape from pretty much from Grainger, but the thing is, it's only 100 millimeters, so you're 20 millimeters shy. That's about 3/4 of an inch, and it barely covers the PU foil. Just giving you a heads up. And if you're going to change one of these PU foils with that tape roll, which is narrower than the one that you took off, you might have a weight and balance issue. All right, track and balance. So you're gonna, I don't know, that's up to you guys. Not telling you what to do. I would order the part number so you have it straight from Airbus. I think they're like $100 each. You know, I guess that's the price of doing business. Anyway, I'm blah, 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 blahing you guys to death. Okay, we're gonna go over the procedures. No big deal, right? Remove the affixed PU protective foil from the main rotor blade and discard. Yeah, peel the old one off. Sometimes that's a nightmare. If it's been on there forever and it's all chipped up and everything, it could take a very long time. It probably is not going to come off in one big long piece. If it does come off in one big long piece, you're lucky. All right, 2, clean the PU protective foil bonding surface of the main rotor blade using acetone. All right, acetone. Don't get crazy and get a rag filled with acetone and soak it in acetone and let it sit there. You're going to wreck the blade. You're going to need some nice gloves, and it's going to take a minute because the adhesion promoter, if it was put on real thick before, it's kind of hard to take off. So it's going to take a minute to get all that crap off. And if you don't get all that adhesion promoter 86A off of there, and when you put the new one on, you're going to be able to see it. It's going to be all wrinkled and stuff, wavy. You're going to be able to see it underneath. All right, back to this. It says clean it with acetone and leave it to air. Pretty much let it dry for 30 to 60 minutes. That's a long time. Okay, so if we go back to the beginning of this service bulletin, just a side note, what's it say? Like at the beginning, it says manpower, approximately 1.5 hours without removal of the main rotor blades. Yeah, maybe if you're just doing the retrofit, but there's no way you're putting 8 PU foils on in an hour and a half. There's no way. If you have to clean it and let it dry for 30 to 60 minutes, each one, and the adhesion promoter, you have to let that dry for like half an hour. That's an all-day job, all right? All right, back to the directions. Number 3, it says mark installation position for the PU foil on the main rotor blade with a felt tip marker or whatever. and it tells you the dimensions. If you're just doing one of these, just peel it off and put it back on where it goes. Okay, now it says number 4, apply a marking at the bonded surface ends on the blade leading edge center. So you're going to mark where the center of the leading edge is on the inboard and outboard, so that you're also going to do the same thing, which is number 6, to the center of your PU foil. You're going to mark the center of your PU foil, not this part that's sticky, but the part that's outside, because you're going to line it up, okay? You're going to line up this mark with the mark on the main rotor blade so it's centered on the blade leading edge, all right? Not a big deal. We'll go back to number 5. It says apply primer, CM750, which is 3M86A adhesion promoter. Apply that onto the bonding surfaces of where the PU foil is going to attach onto the main rotor blade. So you're going to paint that on the blade, but you're going to want to tape it off real nice. If you don't, and you just start painting that up there with a brush, it's going to look like crap. So tape it off so you're not painting all over the blade, and it's going to look like crap when you're done, all right? Just a heads up. Just paint it on the blade and let it air dry for about 20 minutes at whatever temperature, normal room temperature, okay? After it has I don't know why it says this. It says after it has cured for approximately 30 minutes, use the primer in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. I think what they're saying is the manufacturer's instructions, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure what they're saying is let it dry for 20 to 30 minutes, but don't let it dry forever, because then it's not going to do the job it's supposed to do. It gets too dry. Maybe that's what they're saying. But to be honest, I have no idea what that means. All right. Number 7, along with this note. So number 7 is remove the center strip of the PU protective backing films from the back of the PU foil. Okay, so on the back of the PU foil is like 5 clear strips. You want to peel off the center one. And if you read this note, the PU protective foil must be affixed in accordance with figure 1 in the following sequence. First PU foil 1, then PU foil 2. Yeah, that's what you're doing if you're doing the whole service bulletin and you're upgrading to the new style. Anyway, what they're saying is peel off the center sticky part. So there's only like 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of the back that's sticky now, because you don't want the whole thing sticky. Otherwise, it's going to stick really good to that adhesion promoter, and it's going to be all wavy and creased and bubbles, and it's going to be a nightmare. Okay. Peel off the center piece. Number 8, position PU protective foil in installation position by aligning the center markings to the center markings on the blade, just like because we marked them, right? Remember? And don't stretch this thing out. Don't pull it all tight or anything like that. Just make it where the right dimension is supposed to be, and then just match the marks on the PU foil and the blade. Okay, number 9, it says fold the PU protective foil along the blade leading edge from inside to the outside. When you put this foil on there, match the leading edge, the inboard of the leading edge PU foil onto the blade in that, and then slowly press down from inboard to outboard and make sure the outboard mark that you marked lines up. And it says onto the main rotor blade without causing creases and bumbles. All right, cool. So they don't talk about putting the rest of the damn thing on there, which is crazy. So there's 5, or the clear backing that is attached to the sticky part of the PU foil is split into 5 sections. You take off the center section, you put the thing onto the aircraft, going from inboard to outboard to make sure it's still lined up. Then you do the other parts of that clear plastic backing one at a time. And when you're doing it, you attach the PU foil to the blade from the front of the blade to the back of the blade. Use a spatula or use a roller. I use a spatula, usually works pretty good. And then when you're all done, make sure there's no bubbles. All right, number 10 is important. The note is important as well. It says number 10, if air bubbles have formed under the PU foil, puncture them with a needle and press the PU foil to expel air bubbles. Note, do not damage the laminates when piercing the air bubbles. Insert the needle, making sure that the hole is not exposed to the wind during operation. The PU protective foil may otherwise detach from the aircraft. So if you're poking on the leading edge, don't poke straight in, because the air is also going to go in there. But at least it does tell you could get the air bubbles out by poking a hole in it. And don't wreck the blades, okay? Now if we go to number 11, it says, so this is different from the maintenance manual. The maintenance manual says you will seal it. You will seal the edges of the PU foil. Well, here it says it is possible to seal the edges of the PU protective foil with adhesive CM6234, which is DP190. I like that it is possible to seal it, but it doesn't say you have to seal it. So if your pilot calls you in the middle of the night and he says, hey, look, one of my PU foils is all jacked up, and you drive in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you could peel one off, clean it up, put a new one on, and you could be back in service. You don't have to seal the edges, okay? Sometimes I like to seal the very outboard PU foil because that's the highest speed into the wind, and eventually it lifts up and starts to get all screwed up. So sometimes I'll do that, but try not to get the DP190 on the paint, and try not to get the DP190 on the underside of the protection, like the underside protection piece, because this stuff doesn't come off. Like if you chip it off the blade, it brings the paint off too. So just do on the stainless steel piece if you want to do it at all. But look, if you're out of service and you need to go back in service, and if you put the DP190 on there, you better turn the heater up in your hangar to like 90 degrees, and then it will cure up maybe in like 2 hours. If not, it's going to be at least 12 hours to 24. It's not really fully cured for, it seems like 3 days. Anyway, we're going to go over how to do that. If you decide you want to seal the edges, don't seal the lagging edge of it, because you're just going to cause a serious heartache for yourself in the future or the next guy. If you want to seal it, it's only between the gaps between the PU foils and the trailing edge, not the trailing edge, the outboard edge. That's what I would do. Every once in a while, I've seen where a guy decides he wants to seal on the trailing edge of it, the whole length of it. Oh man, and it just doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. And if you're going to do it, use this tool. This tool's on Grainger. It's called 3M multiple ratio 2-part applicator, 3M series EPX. I guess the item number on Grainger is 54XK02. Anyway, it's on Grainger just under $200. Doesn't matter. Order this up. Order the applicator tips off of Grainger, part number 405G14, and it'll mix it all together the way it's supposed to be, and it comes out at the end of that nozzle at a little tiny piece. Don't squirt it out on a piece of cardboard and mix it up yourself and put it on there with a spatula. It's going to look like crap. Okay, just a heads up. Also, if you're going to do this job, tape it off, like right here. So it's a tiny, thin area. And then after you squirt it on there with the applicator gun, wipe it smooth with your finger or whatever, so it's not a huge mound. All right? Just a heads up. Just a heads up. You're going to be helping yourself in the long run. All right, DP190, it's 3M Scotch Weld DP190 gray epoxy adhesive. It comes in a tube, not too expensive, whatever, has a shelf life. Keep track of that. But you're going to want to have some of this on hand. Okay, back on the roll of tape. It's the same stuff. The part number is, it's 3M 8681HS. It's not the same stuff, but it's the same stuff. It's just narrower. It's 100 millimeters instead of 120 millimeters. So it's been known that people use that in the past. I try to order the right part because it's wider. You get better coverage with the correct part number 120 millimeter PU foil. So just a heads up. All right, here's a picture of somebody and honestly, I've done it in the past and I learned the hard way. So you paint the 86A adhesion promoter on the blade and you don't tape it off real well. Even if you do tape it off, that stuff goes underneath the tape. So just a heads up. But right here on this blade, you could see where the 86A was painted on, past where the PU foil goes. Also, here's a picture too about showing like the DP190 just totally stacked up, just totally put on way thick, thicker than you need, thicker than is recommended. All right. If you're going to put DP190 on there, take it easy, man. Nice little layer, because you can't get that stuff off. During a periodical, usually you're going to change a bunch of these PU foils, and you're going to spend a lot of time sanding down that DP190. And it's not quick, all right? Just a heads up. But yeah, one more thing I forgot to talk about. So if you peel off your PU foil and you look at the underside PU protection, you're going to see it all cracked to shit. You're going to see it all cracked. Good chance. The maintenance manual, we'll go over that real fast, what the maintenance manual says. Okay, so if you go to the maintenance manual, AMM 62110061, which is the periodical inspection of the blades, there's also a different chapter, which is the intermediate inspection, the 500 hour, but it says exactly the same stuff about this part right here. This inspection is talking about, it shows the old style PU erosion films. The part that's 2 inches and the one that's 4 inches, it doesn't have the PU films that protect the whole blade. All right, so it's not the same. It's really not the same. So just heads up. All right, so on the blade inspection, if you scroll down just a little bit, it says if you find cracks on the inside and outside PU erosion protection, they're talking about inboard and outboard. If you find cracks on those, then you replace it. You continue to scroll down in the maintenance manual. It says inspect the inboard and outboard. It says inside and outside, but it's inboard and outboard PU erosion protection. That's the underneath rubber piece for erosion and bond separation at the edges. If you find erosion on the PU erosion protection, replace them. If the bond separation at the edge is whatever greater than whatever, then replace it. If you find cracks, you need to replace it, like we said before, okay? So if you pull off the PU film just to change it and you find those cracks, it's time to line up replacing the PU erosion protection piece, okay? I know that sucks and you're in for a little bit of work, but that's just the way it is, okay? And you probably don't have them, and you're probably gonna have to order them AOG, and you're gonna be out of service for a day and a half before you get them, and then you're gonna have to do the job, all right? I've never done that job. Hopefully one of these days I'll make a video for that. Anyway, man, that's it for the video for the PU foils on the EC135 helicopter, and what I recommend, and just a quick walkthrough on where to find the information, all this other stuff. I hope you guys found some value in this video. If you did, share these videos with other people who might find it interesting and increase their knowledge base of the EC135. All right? Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. All right, here's the disclaimer. I am not Airbus EC135 tech rep. I am not that guy. I'm just a random dude who's been working on 135s for a minute. All right? Just trying to show you what I've seen in my experience. Always read the maintenance manual, follow maintenance manual instructions, and if you have any questions, call the tech reps. All right? With that being said, I'm not liable for your maintenance. Just a heads up.